is not available.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
Ah, well isn't that something all trophy hunters love? I started playing this game for an hour or so, relatively enjoying it, until I noticed 2 online trophies required for the platinum. I went to have a look on PSN profiles on how to get them, and it turns out the servers have been officially cut off, and so the trophies and platinum are unobtainable. After the game was swiftly deleted, never to be touched again, I respun the wheel. Before we begin the grindy and slightly painful platinum that Res Infinite holds, why don't you consider subscribing and liking for putting myself through a lot of hell for your entertainment. Go on, it's free, and in return you get some regular entertainment thrown your way. Res Infinite is an immersive classic shooter as you fight your way through enemies and ultimately end up fighting gigantic transforming colourful bosses. Every move syncs and sounds in with the pretty epic techno beats that play in the background of this game. The enjoyability was a solid 6 out of 10 and the difficulty was a 6.5 at a push. Some of the trophies were extremely grindy and some were just annoying, but with that said, let's get into the platinum journey. The first step was to complete the main game, which consisted of 5 areas. Area 1 to 4 had 10 layers and a final boss. A layer is completed after defeating the amount of enemies in that part, and by shooting a colourful block 10 times that sends you to the next layer. I also had to make sure that each level I completed had a 95% shot down rate, meaning I had to destroy 95% of what was on the screen for the whole level. After making my way through Area 1 and defeating the final spinny boss, I got my first trophy. I then proceeded through Area 2, 3 and 4, defeating all enemies with a 95% shot rate and clearing all the bosses, unlocking the next 3 trophies. Area 5 was slightly different from the others, as it didn't have layers. Instead it was about 30 minutes long, had multiple areas and enemies, all whilst trying to get 95% shot rate. On top of that, you had to fight 4 bosses in a row based on the previous area bosses, then defeat the final boss. Upon completing Area 5 I got a trophy for it, and also getting a 95% shot rate in all 5 areas. And that was just the easy part. The next step was to do the Beyond mode, which had a boss rush challenge of defeating all 5 area bosses, including the pre-bosses before the 5th final one, in one run. The next step was to get the high score in the Forgotten area, which is basically just an Area 6, but with no layers or boss. However, to get the high score I needed to make sure I was targeting as many enemies as possible before firing to build up my points. Now the grindy part begins. I had to complete areas 1 to 5 all over again, but on score attack mode, meaning I had to get the high score on every one. There was also a trophy for completing score attack mode 30 times, so I replayed the first area 25 more times to get that. Fun. Of course during this I got the trophy for playing for over 10 hours as well, because I clearly have no life. The last part of the base game was to complete Direct Assault mode in Trance. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, to unlock Trance you have to complete the 5 modes before that, and oh yeah, Direct Assault is all 5 areas back to back in one sitting. So each mode takes about an hour to complete. After 6 gruelling hours, I got the trophy. The final part of the Platinum was essentially the second part of the game called Area X. It is a more HD colourful version and slightly easier. So I had to complete the main game and standard boss with a 95% shot rate, then beat the game again with the alternate boss, also with a 95% shot rate. I also had to complete it again because I needed to do it at my highest evolution and without taking any damage, which go hand in hand, and also defeating 300 enemies in the process. With this final part completed, I got that sweet platinum.